What's up guys? Today we are going to be doing a DIY drawer build for the back of any SUV. This is going to be on a 3rd gen 4Runner and I'm excited to get going. I just picked up 3 sheets of plywood. We're going to rip it down on the floor using a skill saw, and then once we have it into more manageable pieces, we will use the new workbench that I built with the table saw. I have 1 full sheet of plywood. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to rip down. That's why I like to do it on the floor. It's good to get the wood off the floor using 2x4s. And then as we move forward over here, I had the local wood store cut down some of the other 2 sheets of plywood to make it a little bit more manageable. Sometimes I find ripping 3 sheets myself on the garage floor is a little bit cumbersome and annoying. So I just had, I took some rough measurements. I'll show you some of the rough plans right now in the video. It's good to do some of that beforehand, obviously, before buying wood so you know how much to get. But I had them rip some of it down for the drawer sides. And then I have another sheet there, and that is 38 inches wide. So I only have to cut it a couple times, and we have the top, the bottom, and the back of the sleeping platform. The sleeping platform is totally up to you. It will change depending on how your rear seats fold down for each vehicle. So let's get started on the build. I first need to do the top, and then I need to do the bottom, and then I'll cut the back, and we're just building the outside framework for the 2 drawers right now. I also desperately need a new blade on this saw. I highly suggest the Diablo blade. I have it on my miter saw and my table saw. All right, so I got the 2 bases cut. Pretty easy. First one's a little harder, second one's easier because you can use it as a template. They're the exact same size. So now I'm just cutting the sides and the middle support for the box. They're all the same length and the same height, so this is super easy, straightforward, and it's a lot easier to deal with than the larger pieces. I moved on over to the table saw to finish the sides. The pieces were a bit more manageable, so it made sense, and why not get off the ground if you can? You can of course do all this with a circular saw. This workbench has been incredible so far. Having the table saw with an outfeed to the side and in front of me is amazing, as well as the dust collection. All the sawdust goes through a cyclone and is trapped in a bucket, therefore not clogging up my shop vac, as well as leaving my garage dust free. So I'm going to use pocket holes to attach a lot of this stuff. I'm going to use brad nails, glue, and pocket holes. You don't have to use pocket holes with 3/4 inch plywood. You could go at it from the top and the bottom, but you want to make sure you pre-drill, or you could split the wood. A pocket hole is simply a hole drilled at an angle that forms a pocket for the screw. What makes it precise is the design of the pocket hole jig. This one is by Craig, very common brand, and it guides the drill into the wood at a specific angle to produce a hole to house the screw head. Here I just made a little case to keep the pocket hole screws in. We have 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch, that's probably the most commonly used, and I am using 3/4 inch for this project. All right, so I have all 2 sides and the middle on, and now I'm just putting the back on. This is where these long clamps really come in handy. And then the back, I've glued everything, glued the back. I'm just using the brad nailer, but you can use screws. So yeah, you just want to make sure everything's square. Measure twice, cut once. It's going super well. Drop any questions in the comments below. This is my first kind of DIY tutorial, so hopefully I'm not missing too much. I get into the building process and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to film. So hopefully this is detailed enough. I've cut most things on the ground using the skill saw. The table saw definitely comes in handy. And then obviously you need a drill. And then these long clamps, like these ones aren't as good as the Irwin clamps, but I picked these up. This is a 48 inch for 10 bucks from Magnum. I just got it at a local parts store. And then obviously the little clamps are super helpful too. It's held together with pocket holes. But the strength comes from the wood glue itself. So I suggest using wood glue. Just make sure that you're happy with it during the process. All right, so we have the sleeping platform all cut. This is going to attach to the back side of the drawer system. with wooden dowels that kind of position it, and then when you don't want it, you can leave it at your house or put it on top of the drawers. So that fits back here. So we have the drawer system, and then that goes back here. So you can have like a full, I don't know, 6 feet to sleep. All right, so now we are just using an electric stapler. You could use a heavy duty stapler if you don't have an electric one, but they are pretty cheap to pick up and they make the job a lot quicker. After this, we are going to do the outer frame, which is the sides and the bottom all at once, and then we are going to move on to carpeting the top. All right, so now that we have the top, the sleeping platform, and the frame carpeted, let's move on to the drawers. I'm using pocket holes, brad nails, and glue. You can use pocket holes, screws, and glue, whatever works best for you. All right, so it's a new day. I usually just work on this project at night, just finishing up the first drawer here, putting on the face. This is where the strength really comes together, and it's a strong and solid box. All right, so I'm just doing the inserts so you can have like drawer sliders, and I made it 3/4 of an inch from the top using just a wood spacer underneath, and then holding on with clamps, nails, screws, whatever you have to attach it. Just, you don't want to go like through the other side, obviously. And then, yeah, I just held it on with clamps and just almost done. I already did this one. It's holding on by itself. All right, again, let's take a look. So we got the cutting board on top, kind of keeps stuff in too. And then those are there's the divider, and then you could make more. So all you do is use 1/2-inch plywood and cut a little slot, obviously, so you could make 2 or 3 more, and then you could make tees. And then you have like a cutting board. Once the drawer's out, you could have like your camp stove or tools or food or whatever. You're gonna stain this, stain everything, but yeah, super happy. It's not perfect, obviously, but I'm still learning, and I'm super stoked how this turned out. I'm gonna have to implement this into the into the Lexus because I feel like all my stuff just kind of moves around. Like I do have those Tupperware containers, but they're kind of annoying. And yeah, I think Gin approves. Hey, Gin? Yeah. As you can see, I just had to notch this a tiny bit, so make sure that you leave enough room depending on what drawer slides you get. I'll link these down below, but you need at least ½ inch. And then, yeah, they slide really nice. And now we just got to put the top on, do the drawer faces, and we're pretty much wrapped up. Pretty stoked. It's definitely not the easiest thing I've ever done, but great learning experience. And yeah, it's good to challenge yourself, I find. So if you want a good challenge, you can follow this video and do some more research. You definitely need to watch some videos on installing drawer slides that above and beyond this video. Pocket screws as well. Those are probably the two big things, pocket screws and how to install drawer slides. All right, so now we're just cutting the drawer faces. This is in the plans, bottom right of the rough plans that I put up earlier. For this cut, it would be super helpful to have a sliding miter saw for these cross cuts. It's a little bit sketchy on a table saw, but you could easily do this on a circular saw. All right, so we're just mounting the drawer faces right now. Just centering the handles on the drawer faces, and then we are going to center the drawer faces on the drawers. One of my favorite phases of this build is when we got the drawer faces on, because it's starting to look like the finished product. All right, so we're just putting the cross brace or the bracing on the back to hold the sleeping platform on. This is what's gonna be resting on, as well as the 2x4s underneath that are gonna be on hinges, but we'll show you all that. I'm gonna go and attach the 2x4 right now, and then the sleeping platform will be attached to the box on with wooden dowels. So we got a couple screws in. He's gonna paint this later after his camping thing this weekend. All right, so this is the bottom of the sleeping platform. These are the legs that go up to support it, and then they can go down and you can lay it flat on the black side. And then, yeah, we'll show you once it's put in. All right, guys, so as you probably saw in the time lapse, we got the sleeping platform in. It's super solid. You can definitely sleep in the back now, but we're gonna do the wings still. And we got to stain the drawer fronts, and then he's going to stain the drawers later too. But yeah, it's looking super mint. Obviously needs to be vacuumed, and he's going to paint these lower supports or carpet them. But like, it's super nice because now you have all this storage under here, over there. You can store stuff up here when you're not sleeping. He wanted a little room for the old fingers to open her up, so he got the room. Now 3 hinges, might do a little lower support, and we're good. All right, so the first wing is on. This is where it really starts to come together. And once that's stained and everything, it'll look like it was meant to be there. But he's just working on the last one. We're just carpeting it right now. She's pretty much done. Super happy with how it turned out. Got the wings installed. We just got to put on the front like face plate. On this side, we're gonna do eventually a power receptacle and wire it straight from the 12-volt system, and it's gonna be like nice and accessible. So if you want to charge your phone while sleeping or power something out the back, that's an option. Sleeping platform's perfectly level. Even if there's weight on top, drawers open, no problem at all. We just got to put some locks on so they don't slide out. But other than that, pretty mint. Then you got your cutting board that you can take off, and then you have obviously all your drawer space, and then this allows you to use it like as a work surface or a cooking surface. Yeah, so super happy how it turned out. I mean, I worked with Ambush Outdoors to build mine, but this is kind of the first fully from scratch drawer system I've built, and I'm super happy with it. We'll show a couple more clips of how we do these face plates here, and maybe a quick walk around, a couple more like dimensions and stuff, but let's finish it up. Just installing the side brackets for some support for when he's has stuff loaded on here or sleeping. This one's already done. Now just these like filler plates.
I'm sinking into you just like I've always been. Will I ever reach anywhere, anywhere? I don't belong to you. We're only dust and air, swimming in the blue, going somewhere.
Thanks for watching today's video. Hopefully you learned something and you can apply some of the things you learned to building your own drawer system. Super happy with how it turned out. We just got to stain the front faces still, but overall we have the top, the sleeping platform, the wings, even this is all done. We're going to wire in like an outlet so he has power back here. But yeah, super happy with how it turned out. It's got the locks on, super secure, drawer slide nicely, and it's ready for some adventures. So